Most of the time, it is pretty loud in this house. But don't mistake loud for chaotic. Even as a family of 8, including 4 very little ones, there's a beautiful serenity to the rhythmic motion of a day in our life. And that peace amidst the noise and the would-be chaos comes largely from the simple but effective habits and systems that I've adopted over the years. So let me take you along on a journey through a day in my life as a mom of 6, and I'll show you the systems in practice that keep this train from going off the tracks. My day usually starts at 5 a.m. And before you click away and roll your eyes, please hear me out. I have been a night owl all my life. I've tried again and again to wake up early, and it never stuck until I discovered, quite by accident, how to reset my circadian rhythm. I've got a whole video about this coming in the next couple of weeks, and you're definitely not going to want to miss that one because it has nothing to do with self-discipline, fancy routines, or laying out your workout clothes next to your bed. So make sure you tune into that video when it comes out because your mind is going to be blown. I know mine was. But for this video, instead of focusing on how to wake up, let's focus on how to get out of bed. Because so many times we see these elaborate morning routines of working out and cold showers and things that sound just terrible. I don't do that. As someone who always struggled with going to bed too late and not being able to wake up early consistently and not wanting to get out of bed, the last thing I need is a morning routine that punishes me for getting out of the cozy bed I wanted to stay in anyways. I take my mornings gently. A cup of coffee, a cozy robe, a quiet moment of Bible study, no highlighters, just me and my thoughts and prayers. And after some quiet time, I'll break out the planner and write down my top 3 things that have to get done that day. And these usually don't include things like housework because those things just kind of flow throughout the rhythm of my day. Instead, I write down things like filming or editing, scripting, errands, reminders, things like that. And then it's time to get up and get moving. I'll go and get a load of laundry going. And at this point in my life, I'm an advocate for 1 load a day, but that's mostly due to the size of my family. When we only had 2 kids, there just wasn't enough laundry for 1 load a day. So do whatever works for your family, not whatever someone else on the internet is doing. Now, even though my system is to do 1 load a day, as you'll see on this particular day in the life, I'm doing multiple loads. What's that about? Well, I've got terrible news for you. It turns out I'm human, and I'm not perfect. I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, I will be talking about this later in the video. What to do when the system isn't broken, but it could use a reset. Because that happens to everyone. And I don't want to give you this false impression that I always do everything perfectly. So if you're an imperfect human also, just trying to be a little bit better each day, you're in the right spot. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. My name is Amber, and I'm a mom of 6, ages 11, 9, 3, 2, 2, and 1. And I'm just a regular mom on a mission to help mothers go from surviving motherhood by default to thriving in motherhood by design. And once I get that started, I head upstairs to get dressed. I've actually started keeping my everyday makeup and toiletries in the guest bathroom on the main level because I don't always get around to doing makeup first thing in the morning. Sometimes there's a project that I'm nose deep in and I choose to devote the precious quiet hours in the morning to that before everybody else wakes up. But keeping all of that stuff in the bathroom downstairs means I'm far more likely to use it if the morning gets away from me. At least I can do my makeup and put my contacts in after breakfast or whenever, and I don't have to go all the way back upstairs to do it, which, let's just be honest, that's not going to happen with 4 toddlers around that I can't leave unattended for more than a few seconds at a time. But today, I just didn't feel like doing the makeup, which is totally fine too. I do at least try to get dressed every day because there's something about putting on your uniform that says, I'm ready to work. It's so hard to feel productive when you're in PJs and a bathrobe. And it's so hard to lounge around in an apron and a dress. It just feels silly. So even on my most tired days, popping on a pretty dress and tying my apron strings just kind of kicks the snowball down the hill, and that's usually all I need to get things going. For breakfast this morning, I'm just keeping it simple and I'm doing pancakes. But I'm quadrupling the recipe because 1, I have 6 kids, and 2, I really like to batch meals whenever I can. Pancakes come right back to life in the toaster oven the next day, and so if I'm already making a mess in the kitchen, I might as well save myself the mess tomorrow. And of course, while I'm making these pancakes, I'm going to be beating the microwave, which is a name for a game I like to play throughout my day whenever I can. Basically, in the pockets of time when you are just standing around waiting for something to be done, or a lead task, as I like to call it, there are other active tasks that you can and should be doing to pass the time. The idea of matching an active task with a corresponding lead task is called beating the microwave. It's amazing how much of our days are wasted waiting for things to be done. And making pancakes quadruple batches at a time could take me all morning and leave me with a giant mess in my kitchen afterwards. Or I could beat the microwave after every flip and do the dishes, or fold the laundry and tidy the kitchen from breakfast prep. I recently made a video specifically about beating the microwave, and the biggest pushback that I got on this concept was, well, this would not work for someone who has ADHD. And I definitely am not claiming to be an expert on neurological differences, but this concept can work for anyone. And as someone who struggles with focus myself, here are some of the things that have helped me to not forget what I'm doing when I'm beating the microwave. Number one, keep the lead task that you're waiting for within eyesight. I am definitely out of sight, out of mind. I can forget about something the second I take my eyes off of it. So to make sure that I didn't burn the pancakes when I first started getting used to this system, I would only work on things that were right next to the pancakes. Or if your lead task is a little bit longer and you want to venture into another room or to another side of the room and you're not going to be able to see the thing that you're waiting on to finish, just set a simple timer on your phone to remind you to go back to the first task. But after you've done this for a while, especially if you're cooking the same types of meals over and over again, you start to just get a sixth sense for, oh, I need to turn around and flip the pancakes. And this is why I'm such a huge advocate for cooking eyes closed meals, or meals that you can cook with your eyes closed because you've done them so many times. One of the things that gets me through my day smoothly is that I'm not constantly introducing novelty into my home. As a busy mom of 6, I've got enough going on already, enough distractions, enough potential chaos to outbreak at any given moment, that I need everything to just be predictable. And the only way that things can be predictable is if they're familiar. But if you can master this task right here, this skill of constantly working on other things and never wasting time waiting for something to be done, this truly is the key for getting everything you need to do done in a reasonable amount of time. And so I will die on that hill, because by the time I need to go get my kids out of their beds, breakfast is already ready, the kitchen is clean, and the laundry is sorted and waiting to be put away. I'm ready to go greet my kids without being burdened by the mental stress of knowing that I'm coming down to a kitchen that's in chaos, or worse, waking up at the same time that everybody else is already crying and not having breakfast even started, knowing that I'm going to have a bunch of hungry kids. Now, I'm not saying that I am perfect with this, and there are some days where the week has just been long and I'm exhausted and I didn't get to bed in time the night before, and so the 5 a.m. routine doesn't happen. But on those days when I'm literally waking up in fight or flight mode to my kids crying, I cannot tell you the difference in the day that I have on those days versus the days when I get out of bed and I slowly allow myself to come alive peacefully and in my own time. I cannot tell you what a difference it makes. But there's one final note I want to add on this subject, and that is certain seasons of life, you just cannot expect yourself to be waking up at 5 a.m. Whenever I am pregnant or postpartum or dealing with a baby that is still waking up throughout the night, I do not hold myself to the same standard during those times of life, because during those times, getting as much sleep as possible is more of a priority for a short season of time. So if you're currently in one of those seasons, give yourself a little bit of grace. This too shall pass. It goes by so fast. So just take a deep breath and take it one day at a time. You will get your rhythms back. You will get your routines and your schedules, but don't put the pressure on yourself to do it right now. I think this is where a lot of moms, especially new moms, struggle with feeling defeated by motherhood. When you are going through these seasons, it can sometimes feel like life is just going to be this way forever. And so we stress ourselves out so badly about getting all the systems perfect. But usually, just about the time you start to get into a rhythm that actually works, something changes and your whole system needs to adapt. And so we feel like we're always trying to catch up to our circumstances that are ever changing, and we feel like we're failing because of it. But as a mom of 11 years and 6 kids, I've learned through experience that each season is difficult in its own way, but fleeting also. And so I'd encourage you to not put so much emphasis on perfecting each system, and definitely do away with a mindset of permanence or even a long-term mindset, because things will change drastically even 3 months from now. Sometimes I like to do this exercise of going back through old notebooks or journals from about 3 to 6 months ago and remembering what was stressing me out in that current season. And it's crazy how even things that we were worried about 3 months ago so often never even ended up being that big of a deal.
They just did not listen to me. They brought the motorcycle in the van, and then came up and sat in the front, and then I woke up.
Like, for example, I could be stressed about the importance of sitting around a table as a family. But in this season, with 4 in high chairs, it's just easier to have them sitting here next to the kitchen. And my bigger girls sit at the counter, and I meander about, cleaning and helping kids stay on track eating and talking with the girls. And I've accepted that in this season, it means that I'll probably be eating my dinner or breakfast a little bit later than everybody else. And that's not typically what we see depicted in a traditional family-focused meal, but it's what's working in this season right now. And I know this season will be over so quickly, so why worry about it? I've had so many moms ask me for tips about how to handle mealtime and the getting up and down from the table, and they feel like they're doing something wrong because they're in this busy, chaotic season. And this may not be the advice you want to hear, but it's what I've accepted. Right now, when there's so many littles that need my help, it's just easier for me to not even sit down. But take comfort in the fact that that is not a permanent solution. One day, they'll be able to help and eat with a spoon. But for now, this is what my family needs from me. And that's okay. After breakfast is a time for independent play. When school's in session, the older girls will go do independent work during this time. But we just finished our school year, so they are just hanging out in their rooms doing their own thing. But the 4 toddlers I keep nearby during my day. And I've had some moms ask how I'm able to get things done with all the littles. And my answer is, stop feeling the need to entertain your kids all the time. This shouldn't be that controversial, but for some reason it is. But in my opinion, you are your children's mother and caretaker. You are not their cruise director. So I let my kids entertain themselves while I work on housework. I like to do housework while they're awake and underfoot so that during nap time, I can do focused work or relax during the quiet hours. Now, if your kids won't play independently, here's some tips. Keep the playroom central to you. I've tried the playroom in a bedroom situation, and the kids won't play unless you are physically in the room with them. So, bring the toys where you are. In this house, we're so blessed to have this sunroom right here that we can use as a playroom. But in our last house, we simply kept the toys in the living room because there was no other central solution. Which brings me to my next tip to get them to play independently. Less toys, clean environment. When kids have fewer toys, but a clean space to play in, they'll actually play for longer. But also, don't be afraid to just let the kids migrate around you while you're working. Sometimes they help, sometimes they get in the way, but they just want to feel secure that you are nearby. And when that's sure in their minds, they'll feel secure enough to toddle away and play for a little while, come back and show you a toy, and then run away again. But there's no real secret to getting things done with kids. It's just that you just do them while the kids are around. A system that's been working really well for us is not keeping my toddlers' clothing in their bedrooms. And I've talked about this in other videos, but if you're new here, I found that my home functions so much more smoothly when I store the things where I actually use them. And as you saw earlier, I get all 4 babies dressed assembly line style in the playroom. So keeping the clothes on the main floor where I use them just makes more sense. Plus, it makes putting away the laundry so much easier when I just have to come to this one hall closet for all 4 children. Now, as far as sorting goes, I don't sort by size because sometimes the kids share clothes, depending on the size. And that makes it kind of hard to figure out which section of the closet a particular item should go in if I'm sorting by who it belongs to. Because when you have this many little ones that are all close to the same size, there's a lot of crossover. So I just sort the closet by color, and then I choose a color for the day to dress all the kids in, which means I'm only looking through a very tiny section of closet each day to pick out everyone's clothes. And this system has been working phenomenally well. It just really streamlines everything. Now, to make this work, I do have to be selective about the amount of clothing I keep in here. It's a decent sized closet, but we're talking 4 kids, so I do have to be pretty minimal here. And here's the thing, I am not a minimalist. You will never hear me call myself a minimalist. I like stuff. I like options. I have a lot of interests and hobbies. I'm a crafter and a DIYer at heart. I want to save everything. But there are areas of my life that I've found minimalism can make things easier. And so I've actually got a video coming out in a few weeks about how to reconcile that disconnect between wanting to use minimalistic principles in certain areas, even when you're a maximalist at heart. I think that video will be so helpful to those of you who find yourself in that same boat with me. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that video when it comes out. But having less laundry cycling through this system and having the clothes easily fit when I'm putting the laundry away really makes a day like today where I'm catching up on laundry much more manageable. And that's something that deserves talking about. Even though my usual system consists of doing 1 load of laundry a day, the past few days, or weeks really, have been so busy that I've found myself falling behind here and there. Which leads to a day like today where I'm doing a few loads to catch up. And in the past, that would have felt like a failure to me. I would have taken that as a sign that the system needed reworking. And then I would have worked for a whole day or 2 researching systems, aka watching YouTube, to figure out what everyone else was doing right that I was doing wrong. But now, I've learned that you don't need a new system. Like I mentioned in last week's video, sometimes we just need to reboot the current system. So instead of researching a new system, just restart the old system, because I know this system works, right? It has worked for a long time, but systems aren't life-proof. So sometimes we do get derailed. But it doesn't mean that that system isn't working. If you've been here for a while, you know by now that I do like to add in a little bit of Bible backing to my opinions. And so in Proverbs 24:16, we see, "For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again." We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have the perfect system. We just have to keep showing up. When life gets busy and knocks you down, brush yourself off and start the system back up again. That's not failure, that's just normal. But all of that being said, if you do have an area that you can't keep under control, no matter what system you've tried, it's likely that there's a deeper underlying issue at the root of the problem. And I've developed a chore friction analysis worksheet that will help you assess what's going on in that situation. That's just one bit of help in my 87-page guide to the kitchen, Motherhood by Design. I go into detail about so many of the topics I've mentioned today: beating the microwave, the art of sequencing, developing a 4-week rotating meal plan, building a repertoire of eyes-closed meals, and so much more. I'll leave a link in the description. At this point in my day, things are about to transition from homemaker to entrepreneur as I put the babies down for a nap. But I'm actually going to continue this day in the life in 2 more parts, or this would be a 2-hour feature-length film by the time it's all said and done. So I hope you'll join me next week as we talk about finding balance while wearing a lot of hats as moms and wives and homemakers and friends and entrepreneurs and hobbyists and you name it. How do we find balance juggling it all? So subscribe if you like so you don't miss part 2 of this Day in the Life series. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.